Since World War II, the ocean has gone from a cruise route to a full-blown battleground, less Finding Nemo and more Call of Duty, submarine ops. And leading this new deep-sea arms race? The United States, with a brand new nuclear-powered beast that makes most Navy vessels look like pool noodles. This isn't your granddad's submarine. It's faster, deadlier, quieter, and more secretive than your ex's new relationship. Let's dive into what makes America's 2025 nuclear submarine a floating nightmare for anyone on its bad side. From clunky tubes to underwater titans, the journey of nuclear submarines has been nothing short of evolutionary. In the 1950s, the U.S. Navy unveiled the first nuclear-powered subs. At the time, they were groundbreaking and also loud enough to wake the Kraken. Their sonar systems were basic, their stealth was laughable by today's standards, and if you dropped a spoon inside one, every rival within 100 miles could probably hear it. But by the 70s, things got sleeker. Second-generation submarines showed up with more aerodynamic hulls that could slice through the ocean like butter and didn't sound like a blender on max. These boats were faster, quieter, and designed to avoid enemy detection like a teenager sneaking in after curfew. Then came the 80s and 90s, ushering in third- and fourth-generation submarines. These were bigger, more weaponized, and more livable for the crews stuck underwater for months. The U.S. even built submarines like the Ohio and Los Angeles classes that could go a whole decade without needing a refuel, something even most marriages can't claim. Meet the Ohio-class. If submarines were Marvel superheroes, the Ohio-class would be the Hulk. Each of these nuclear behemoths can carry 20 Trident II D5 missiles, which are some of the most accurate and terrifying weapons in existence. Each missile has the option to carry multiple warheads, up to 14 of the W-76 variety, 100 kilotons each, or 8 of the W-88s, a staggering 475 kilotons each. That's enough firepower to turn a continent into a memory. The range? Over 7,300 kilometers. That's from New York to London with room to spare. And because these subs can strike from such vast distances, they can safely hide in the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans, sipping on reactor coolant while keeping their finger on the trigger. Despite their massive size, these subs aren't slowpokes. They can hit speeds of 25 knots while submerged and are surprisingly nimble, perfect for playing underwater hide-and-seek with hostile navies. The Russians respond. Borei-class now. Russia isn't exactly twiddling its thumbs. They've got their own underwater juggernauts, the Borei-class subs. These bad boys carry 16 Bulava missiles, with warheads packing 100 to 150 kilotons each. They're even a bit faster than the Ohio-class, maxing out at 29 knots, which means if there were ever a high-speed underwater chase scene, the Russians might win the first lap. Still, speed isn't everything. America's Ohio-class carries more missiles with more devastating payloads. And let's not forget, American sonar and stealth systems have a pretty strong track record of staying unseen. Advantage, USA. Seawolf versus Virginia. When speed meets practicality. Not all nuclear submarines are built for nuclear war. Some are multitaskers, good for espionage, ship hunting, and firing cruise missiles at enemy infrastructure from 1,000 miles away. The U.S. Navy's Seawolf-class subs are the Lamborghinis of the ocean, fast, powerful, and expensive as heck. Each one costs around $4.3 billion and can zip through the water at 35 knots. But because of the cost, only 3 were made. Classic Navy budgeting. The more affordable sibling is the Virginia-class, which is like the Honda Civic of nuclear submarines, reliable, efficient, and still packing Tomahawk missiles. Depending on the variant, it can carry between 12 and 24 of them, giving it serious teeth for conventional warfare. And while it's a little slower than the Seawolf, at 34 knots, it's still no slouch. What makes nuclear submarines so special? Unlike diesel-electric submarines, which need to come up for air like anxious snorkelers, nuclear subs can stay submerged for months. They're powered by reactors that provide nearly unlimited energy. allowing them to cover massive distances without needing a pit stop. The US and UK navies have gone all in on nuclear propulsion, ditching diesel entirely. Meanwhile, most other countries still rely on traditional submarines because they're cheaper and less complex. But cheaper doesn't equal better. Nuclear subs are the apex predators of the sea. Only 5 nations operate nuclear-powered submarines: the US, Russia, China, the UK, and France. That's a lake company. And the US? It leads the pack with vessels powered by reactors like the S-6W, producing 300,000 horsepower. That's enough juice to launch a small moon into orbit. Stealth mode activated. Today's nuclear submarines are stealthier than ever. Natural circulation cooling systems have replaced loud coolant pumps. That means the reactors operate silently, reducing noise levels to the point that rival sonar might pick up more sound from a snapping shrimp than from a nearby sub. The subs also use sound-dampening materials, modular hull designs, and even quieter propeller systems like water jets. The result? These machines are whisper-quiet and borderline invisible beneath the waves, ideal for sneak attacks or just loitering near hostile waters undetected. Nuclear accidents. Operating a nuclear submarine isn't all stealth missions and missile launches. It's risky business. Since their invention, 8 nuclear-powered submarines have sunk: 4 Soviet, 2 Russian, and 2 American. The worst American tragedy was the United States ship Thresher in 1963, which went down due to hull failure. For Russia, it was the K-141 Kursk disaster in 2000, when an experimental torpedo exploded, sinking the vessel and claiming all lives on board. These events have led to tougher safety standards, compartmentalization, and emergency evacuation protocols. American single hull versus Russian double hull. There's also a design difference. US subs usually have a single hull that serves as both the pressure hull and the outer skin. This design improves speed and agility. Russian subs often feature a double hull, a strong inner shell surrounded by a lightweight outer hull for extra protection and buoyancy. However, modern American submarines use incredibly strong HY-100 steel, allowing their single hulls to withstand crushing pressures at extreme depths. The durability gap is shrinking, and the single hull design is winning over more engineers globally. What's inside matters too. Submarines aren't just floating missile silos. Their internal compartments are divided to keep things organized and safe. In the Ohio-class, one major compartment houses 24 vertical missile silos, sealed by hydraulic lids and protected by reinforced resin membranes. During launch, explosive charges blast open the membranes, and a gunpowder-based gas accumulator shoots the missile out of the water at 10 gallons. As the missile climbs, its engine kicks in about 10 to 30 meters above the surface. It's fast, accurate, and doesn't mess around. The fire control system, MTK-98, is like the submarine's brain. It runs diagnostics, recalibrates, and can launch the entire arsenal within 15 minutes if needed. It even adjusts targeting mid-sequence in case of sudden mission changes. Talk about real-time problem solving. What about crew life? Submariners have one of the toughest jobs in the military. They're stuck in a giant metal tube underwater with 150 of their closest friends for months at a time. And while the sub can technically stay submerged for 6 months straight, missions are usually capped at 2 to 3 months. Why? Because humans are not sea cucumbers. Mental strain, repetitive routines, and a total lack of sunlight take a toll. Air isn't the problem. Modern subs use electrolysis to extract oxygen from seawater. It's the mind that suffers, not the lungs. To help, navies rotate crews, enforce schedules, and try to keep things routine. But even the best morale booster can't replace natural light and a burger that doesn't taste like reheated despair. 5th-generation submarines. Looking ahead, the next generation of nuclear submarines is already surfacing, figuratively speaking. These future vessels will be packed with automation, AI, hypersonic missiles, and even modular reactors that don't need maintenance for 40 years. The Seawolf-class already features many of these innovations. Russia's trying to keep up with projects like the Poseidon II and 39, an underwater drone torpedo hybrid with nuclear propulsion, and a warhead large enough to wipe out cities. It sounds scary until you realize it might take days to reach its target. By that time, the war might already be over, and someone else will have claimed your parking spot. And there you have it. If you enjoyed this underwater thrill ride through stealth, steel, and sheer power, hit that like and subscribe. And hey, don't forget to tap the bell because the next time we dive into secret weapons or sky-splitting jets, you won't want to be left on the surface. Catch you in the deep end.